Well, I just had an opportunity to be in New York because I'm at the Colbert Report tomorrow night. No idea what's going to come at me. But we took the opportunity to have me here at the theater. Thank you very much for coming. One thing I'd like to mention to you, you will see that the film is dedicated to the three discoverers of the cave, Jean-Marie Chauvet, Eliade Prunel, and Christian Hilaire. They are, in a way, the tragic figures of this whole thing. They believed that they owned the cave as discoverers, or at least partially. They even had some crazy ideas that they had copyright of some of the images, or the images. That was probably an initial idea, but copyright, of course, expires after 75 years. And we are dealing here with 32,000 years. And of course, it's patrimony of, not only of France, it's patrimony of the human race. Their argument, and there's yet another, we had to include a very last credit for them again. They argued that they were on a private outing, all of them employees of the Ministry of Culture. And of course, if in their capacity as employees make a discovery, it is obvious that they have no proprietary rights, and they have won that in court. But otherwise, they have lost every single court battle, have spent all their money. And now I have pushed both sides into accepting arbitration, and I hope that will settle and they will be rewarded. If I were the French president, I would invite them to the Élysée Palace and put the biggest order the French Republic can bestow on anyone onto their chests, and I would order the Postmaster General to release a series of stamps with their image on it and some of the images in the cave. That would have been the right thing. So they have been important for me, and I tried very, very, very hard to persuade them to be in the film, guide us to the cave. They wouldn't do it because at the time there was still ongoing litigation, and they did not want to compromise their position in court by accepting a paid role, or even if it were non-paid, somehow collaborating with an effort that should be, in their opinion, only theirs and only their property. But when it comes to what you will see, the paintings, it is not property of anyone, it is property of the human race. And it has come down to us, and we recognize ourselves as the same ones who 35,000 years ago in a burst of creative energy created the awakening of the modern human soul. Neanderthal men who were roaming the same landscape at the same time, who had not died out yet, did not create art. They did not have culture as we see it here. Yeah, we should, maybe one or two questions before you are seeing the film, if there's anyone who would really like to know something.
Well, let me ask a question about your, when you first learned about about these cave paintings and about the history of art and caves in general, and when you thought it would make a film.
Well, I was approached by Eric Nelson, a producer who with whom I made Grizzly Man and Encounters at the End of the World in Antarctica, a very imaginative man. And he called me timidly and said, well, there was an article in the New Yorker about this Chauvet cave. Can you read it, and maybe you would consider to do a film? And I said, cave painting, cave, do I hear right? And I said, I don't need to read the article. Yes, 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 yes. And he didn't know that my first awakening, as my first independent spiritual, I say it with the necessary caution, or intellectual awakening, was centered around cave paintings. I grew up in the mountains in Bavaria, but I mean really remote. I had no technology, didn't know cinema existed, made a phone call, the first phone call, when I was 17. But in Munich, I saw in a bookstore, when we moved to Munich, I saw a book with a horse, a painting of a horse from Lascaux Cave, a famous cave in the Dordogne area. And I was immediately mesmerized, and I couldn't believe my eyes, and I wanted this book very, very badly. And I was only 12 or 13, started to work in tennis courts as a ball boy, and worked for 3 or 4 months until I had the $35 or so to buy the book. And this incredible shudder when I opened the book and saw these images is still in me. So it was something that was not related to school or family or peers. It was all my own. And since then I have been fascinated by Paleolithic, also Neolithic culture. Why, I do not know, but it had nothing to do with movies. I never thought about making a movie, and all of a sudden, here it was. I jumped on it, and at the beginning there was the idea by Eric Nelson to do it in 3D, but he had no idea. It was just the first craze of 3D, and I said, no, I'm not really such a advocate of 3D. I have reservations. I'm a mild skeptic. The moment I was allowed into the cave for 1 hour, 3 months before shooting, I immediately knew it was the right idea, because the artists or the painters at this Paleolithic time utilized the formations, the bulges, and the drama of the formations, the undulations, the niches, pendants, rock pendants. It's a fantastic cave in its formation, and it was utilized in 3 dimensions by the painters. And so I immediately knew, yes, this was imperative to do it in 3D. I don't care whether there's Avatar out or whatever, I just do it in 3D, and I will do it better.
Well, I'll take one question from, I'll try to sense who has the best question in the room. I think it's the gentleman in the light blue.
Can you speak up a little bit?
Oh, yes. Did you find anything in common with the aesthetic in the paintings in your own work?
Well, that's a very deep question. I've never thought about it. But when you are asking this, yes, in a way, my favorite part, and I show it in the film fairly late, a group of lions. A type of lions died out since more than 20,000 years, and they all stalk something, and we do not know what it is. And the intensity of their gaze, and how they are crouching and sneaking up to something, the kind of focus and intensity of something for looking at the unknown, at the unseen, has to do with my filmmaking in a way. Not exactly the pictorial aspect of it alone. It's more the kind of focusing on something that's completely unknown to us and going at it. It's more a storytelling aspect than a merely pictorial. So please enjoy the film, and
Thank you, Werner, for being here.
I might see you again in the fall, because I'm finishing a film on death row at the moment. It's a very, very intense film, and you may see it here at this theater. All right.